Hey, it's Steve, Kyler, and Giannis Koutroupas for HOOPSWORLD TV. Now, Giannis, I spent some time around this team last night. The Philadelphia 76ers, everybody in the locker room says, they love the idea that nobody's talking about Philly, and they look at themselves as good as almost anybody in the East. Now, obviously, a lot of respect being paid to the Miami Heat, but when you start talking about the Boston Celtics or the next team down the rung, Philly feels like they're right there. Do you buy into Philly being a playoff team? Do you think the Philadelphia 76ers are a playoff team or a contending type team that could be home court?
They're definitely a playoff team. They're absolutely one of the best 8 teams in the Eastern Conference. There's no doubt about that in my mind. But when we start talking about contending with the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, I think that may be a little bit of a stretch for this year. This is still a very young team overall. And although they do have some good experience last year, they got to the second round. They really got there by a stroke of luck and bad fortune for the Chicago Bulls. Had Derrick Rose stayed healthy, they weren't getting out of the first round again. And I'm a little bit hesitant to buy into Andrew Bynum as the number one guy, the go-to guy, because I haven't seen him thrive in that role yet. I saw him at times as the number 3 guy in Los Angeles. His effort and his intensity would waver a little bit. So I want to see that those issues get shored up before I buy into him being the kind of guy that can lead a team into contention status. So I definitely think they're a playoff team, but right now I'm holding off on saying that they're a true contender.
Now, you brought up Andrew Bynum. A lot's been made in the Philadelphia media that maybe the Sixers got damaged goods in Andrew Bynum. Now, of course, Rod Thorne has come out and said, look, we knew about the knee injury. Nobody went into this blind. We've known that he was going to be somebody who maybe needed more care on the knee than most. But are you buying this idea that maybe Philly thought they were getting a better player than they actually got, especially with him being on the bench now? Didn't even travel with the team, due to knee injury. If he's going to start the season on the bench, did Philly get damaged goods, or was this just best possible situation to get rid of Andre Iguodala?
I think that even in hindsight, knowing where things are at right now, they would probably still do the move. It's a gamble you take. It's a move that they needed to do. I think that they had kind of plateaued a little bit as a one-and-done team, and Andrew gives them that potential to move on. But I'm a little bit worried about him, too. Andrew had a lot of luxuries in Los Angeles, where Pau Gasol and Kobe Bryant were spoon-feeding him 5-6 easy buckets a game. He didn't have to play his best basketball night in and night out for them to win. That's not going to be the case in Philadelphia. So there's a lot of more risk associated with this than just with the knee. And right now, the knee appears to be a bigger problem than we all thought.
Now, when you look at this roster, this Philadelphia roster, especially this front line, Andrew, if he can get healthy, you got Kwame Brown, who's a big body, Lavoy Allen, Spencer Hawes, Thaddeus Young. That's probably the biggest front court in the Eastern Conference, if not all of the NBA. Can size prevail? I mean, they've got some good guards, too. If you think about Jrue Holiday, Jason Richardson, Evan Turner, these are guys that can really play. But when you look at the Sixers and what could be probably the most formidable front line in the East, could they be that dark horse if everything lines up right? I mean, I think that's a huge if.
Yeah, it's all about development, and I believe in Doug Collins, and I think that he's one of the great teachers of the game out there. So I think that having this team for a full season with plenty of practice time, they could definitely improve greatly throughout the course if everybody stays healthy and get into that contention mix. I just don't want to say that it's a certainty as of right now without seeing how that development comes. But size is definitely an advantage that they have. You mentioned all of those players, and I like the fact that they have 2 legitimate bigs that they can play with each other. Thaddeus Young can play with Kwame Brown, Spencer Hawes, or Andrew Bynum, and same thing goes for Lavoy Allen. So they've really got some post players that fit well with each other, and I'm intrigued to see how this team comes together.
He's Giannis Koutroupas. I'm Steve Kyler. This is HOOPSWORLD TV.